Okay, everyone, we're going to get started. Thank you for joining the WEConnect International Day Preparatory webinars. This is our third one in the series, Context to Connections. We've had two others, and I'm going to briefly go over what we went over in those and how you can access the recordings of those webinars, and then I'll go over what we're doing today. And then if you have any questions, it's really hard to open it up for questions due to the background noise that happens on the phone. But if you can view the computer screen, you can see where the chat window is. A couple people have introduced themselves, and you can use that to ask questions as well. So I am Liz Whitehead. I'm the Director of Women's Business Development for WEConnect International. I have attended several WEConnect International Days and WeBank conferences, so I'm giving you this information from my experience and the experience I've had with supporting other women business owners through this process and through the process of making connections and building relationships with the corporate members of WeBank and WeConnect International. In doing this, I do want to bring in other resources as well, so you're not just hearing from me, and we'll go over what some of those are, including some of WeBank's materials and some of our own corporate members who participated in the WeConnect Academy modules, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I want to, so I'm going to jump right in since this is the third webinar. I recognize a lot of you have attended the other ones. For anyone that hasn't, the other webinars are available on YouTube. If you go to WeConnection and videos, you'll be able to see those webinars, and the second webinar is available as well. The topics we covered, if anyone has any problem accessing those, just send me an email and I can send you the links. The topics we covered already, so that we're not going to cover today, are an overview of International Day, the WeBank conference, and a business case for corporate members. So why the corporate members are interested in doing business with you. The second webinar covered how to actually target those potential clients using the WeConnect International Network. The idea that what you want to provide to them is solutions. You don't just want to say, this is what I do, how can I help you? You want to actually come ready with a solution that your company provides. And we talked briefly about the Women-Owned logo. If anyone is certified and interested in using the Women-Owned logo, there's more information at womenownedlogo.com. You can see that on your screen there. And you can also, if you need to access the logo, again, as a certified business, then you can shoot an email to logo@weconnectinternational.org, and Alexandra will help you out with that. So that's what we've covered before. Obviously, if you have any questions about the previous material, feel free to ask. But what I'm going to jump into today, I'm going to cover the elevator pitch again because I think it's really important, particularly for this kind of conference where you're not going to have a lot of time with each person individually. So we're going to go over the elevator pitch again, but then we're going to spend a lot of time on how you plan your time at the conference, what steps you want to take in the next month, and the follow-up. So I include this picture, so if you're looking at the computer, you can see the picture of the WeConnect International booth. This was the booth 2 years ago. This year we'll be at booth 521. If you have any questions on the day of the business fair, which is the Wednesday of that week, you can come find us at WeConnect International booth 521, or if you just want to say hello. Most of the people in this picture, with the exception of myself, I'm actually not going this year, will be present there and available to help answer any questions, and in some cases perhaps introduce you to people that you want to meet. I also include this picture so you can kind of see up in the upper left-hand corner, you can see that this is the 300th row. You can kind of see the scope of how much room there is. So it's a big conference. One of the things that people always say when they are thinking about the WeBank conference or if they've attended for the first time is that it can be overwhelming. And so the idea behind the previous two webinars and this webinar today is for you to be prepared for the scope of the conference and so that you're not overwhelmed, so that you have a plan. Obviously, you want to build some flexibility into that plan sometimes for naps or phone calls back to your office, but for the most part, the better prepared you are in advance, the better your experience is going to be. And again, any questions, just come visit us at our booth. So the elevator pitch, we're going to start with that because, as I mentioned, it's a big conference. There's going to be a lot of people there. They're expecting between 3,000 and 4,000 attendees. You'll hear the exact number when you get there. And so while hundreds of those will be corporate members, thousands of those will be women business owners just like you who are looking to make connections with these big corporations. So there's a couple of resources that are available to you and a couple of ways to plan, but the best way to plan is to have a quick pitch ready for the opportunities you have in front of the people you want to meet. Now, I'm directing this toward the corporate members because I think that's why everybody's here. That's why you're taking the time to come to the U.S. and come to a big conference. But you want to keep this in mind with the women business owners as well. Your fellow women business owners can be really valuable resources for you. One, they're potential clients, and two, they may have experiences doing business or trying to do business with some of the corporations that you're approaching, and they can give you really hands-on information for that. So, but to do that, you have to be able to explain to them, for anyone to be able to help you, you need to explain what you do and what is the solution you provide. So I'm going to go over the elevator pitch and some of the do's and don'ts. We covered this a bit in the second webinar, but I want to go over it again because I think it was at the end and it was a little short. So, and you might have spent some time actually thinking about your pitch, and I think it's, you can always revisit it to make sure it's right not only for you and your company, but for the person that you're actually trying to engage. So, and for the purposes of engaging, I'm going to start with the don'ts, and some of these are going to be things that you have heard before, but I think it's worth going over them. One is don't arrive unprepared. So you want to know what we call your story, their story, and our story. Now, all of this information, the information that you see about the pitch is coming from the WEConnect Academy modules. This is actually module number 2, which is titled Understanding and Knowing Your Customer. You have access to this entire module through the WEConnect International e-network. So if you're self-registered or certified, you actually have access to this module. So while I'm only covering pieces of it, you can actually go back and look at the whole thing and how they flesh out your story, their story, and our story. Self-registered businesses have access to modules 1 to 4, and certified businesses have access to 10 modules. And I highly recommend these because they have great information that was given to us and it was filtered through the corporate members, many of whom you're going to be approaching at this conference. So that's always helpful to hear it from them before you get there. But so the first thing that they, from participating in these conferences, that they want you to know is to not arrive unprepared, which is fine because you're here now, you're preparing, so you don't have to worry about that. Don't present the hard sell and don't make the conversation all about you. If I can just give you one tip, one takeaway from this webinar, it's that when you're presenting to these companies, you don't want to think about this as a sales opportunity, but an opportunity to build a relationship. And I say that, we covered that really in the second webinar, but I just want to reiterate that the people that you're going to be meeting at this conference are supplier diversity and inclusion representatives. So they are going to be your advocate within their companies in terms of introducing you to the next person. So while they may know your business or your industry intimately, and then they may ask follow-up questions, definitely answer those questions, whether it's about pricing or specs or something like that. but when you're making the first contact with someone, think of it as an opportunity to get to know more about them as opposed to telling them more about you. And the way you do that is by having a really honed pitch, and we'll get to that. You don't want to seem entitled to an opportunity because of your WEConnect certification. In fact, most of the corporate members will tell you you don't need to lead with that, especially at these conferences, at WEConnect International Day and the WeBank National Business Fair. You're going to be one of many. It's going to be one of the rare times where pretty much everybody that's approaching them is a woman-owned business, and most of them, the vast majority of them, are going to be certified. So what you want to stick with is not, this is my certification, what can you do for me, but what differentiates you from that group. Don't be someone or something that you're not. One of the reasons you want to be here is to identify opportunities for you and identify opportunities that you can actually fulfill while you're at the conference. If you don't have the capacity to do that, then you don't want to imply that you do. One of the big pitfalls that I also hear from the corporate members is that you don't want to be someone that says you can do everything, because no one can do everything. What the corporate members really want to hear, again, is what's your distinct value proposition? What separates you from everyone else? What can you do that for them that not everyone else is doing? And then just some etiquette. You don't want to be distracted or not fully engaged. Turn off the cell phone and listen, listen, listen. These opportunities to listen are going to put you in a really good position to follow up later. Don't forget your business cards. Have your business cards available, and I would add to that, if you're certified and you can fit the women-owned logo on there, that's also a good thing to do. And finally, don't be nervous. So after all those don'ts, there's no need to be nervous because you're here now, you're preparing, and that's going to put you, that alone is going to distinguish you from a lot of the other business owners that are there and haven't planned like you're doing right now. So your elevator pitch. So we've just told you all the don'ts, so what do you need to do? An elevator pitch, the reason why it's called this is because the idea is it's a short summary that you'd give to someone if you only had a brief time riding in an elevator with them. So you might not have a set meeting with the CEO of Walmart. In fact, I'm not sure the CEO is going to be there, but maybe you run into him in an elevator at this conference or somewhere else. You want to be prepared with a summary of what your business does so that that person wants to know more. So an effective pitch is concise, clear, powerful, and it reflects you. Again, you're not trying to be someone that you're not. And the idea is not that you're trying to tell the whole history of your business or all your products and services in 30 to 60 seconds. In fact, I think 30 is really better. Closer to 30 is better than closer to 60. What you're trying to do in that time is give someone enough information that they want to follow up with you and ask questions. So how do you do that? This is what an effective pitch includes. So a value proposition that highlights your value to be delivered and a belief from the customer of value that will be experienced. So that's kind of a wordy way of saying you think they're going to get something out of it. So if you know that a potential customer is already buying what you're selling, but your product is somehow different, it's cheaper or higher quality, or you have market research that shows it does particularly well in a demographic group. That's all information that is going to present a solution to the corporate member. So there's a big difference between I provide pencils, and I know you buy pencils. That's a lot different than my pencil is cheaper, and it's been shown to increase the effectiveness of people's writing by X%. And that's where you get to the next part. You want results-driven words of power. So this is going to increase your sales. This is going to increase employee retention. customers that use my service improve employee retention by X%. You want to use those kind of words that tell the person you're talking to, this person is providing me a solution. They're not just selling me something. And then the final thing is you want to make a request. For the most part, at WEConnect International Day and the business fair, the request is going to be for additional information or a request to contact the next person. So as I mentioned, the supplier diversity and inclusion people, it is their job to make sure that women business owners like you are included in the supply chain. They may or may not, and in most cases may not, they're probably not going to be the final decision maker. But they are your advocate and can get you to that decision maker. So I think the request that you make can be for, can you direct me to the person that is in charge of these buying decisions? Or if you don't feel like, if you feel like this is the person that you need to talk to, that the person you're talking to is the one, you might want to request a more in-depth conversation and when you can follow up when you get back to your offices. You may want to request a more formal meeting, although what you want to think about is in this context, they're seeing hundreds and thousands of new people. So for the most part, they're going to take everything they have, sift it out when they get back to their offices, and the people that rise to the top are going to be the people who really, that gave a good pitch to begin with, so they stand out, and the people that determined really the best way to follow up once you get back to your office. Do I follow up with you? Is there a contact person that I'm supposed to get in touch with? If they give you a name but they don't have a card for that person, write it down. So you can say, oh, you mentioned that Julie Smith was the person that I'm supposed to talk to. Do you have that information? Because you want, if you think about it, they're going to get back to their desk, and yeah, they might have your card, and maybe you made a great connection, but they're not going to remember everything that you talked about. So the more that you can listen, and I will add to that, to take notes, the better you will be positioned to follow up. And I would say that request at the end of your pitch should be a request for what's the best way to follow up with you. We went over in the second webinar that a lot of them are going to say, register on our supplier diversity website. If you've done that in advance or you've tried to and it didn't work, either because some of the companies are not yet positioned, there's going to be hundreds of companies there, not all of them are corporate members, and some of them are not yet ready to accept registrants from outside the U.S., that's okay. You want to let them know that, actually, I tried to register, but I wasn't able to. Is there another thing I can do to follow up? And then you'll be that much more prepared when you get back to the office. And we're going to talk about follow-up a fair bit today. So now you have, from the previous webinars and what I just went over, you know why you're going to the conference, you know why the corporate members are going to be at the conference, you know how to reach them, how to do your market research, and then how to approach them with this effective pitch. The next thing is going to be, how are you going to manage your time at the conference? Because it is big, there's a lot to do, and there's a lot of value. What I'm going to go over is the ins and outs of the activities and my tips for what you should plan to spend your time doing. But again, work in some time for flexibility. Someone might ask you for an in-depth conversation. You know, can we have coffee tomorrow morning? You don't want to be so planned out that you don't have time for that kind of thing. You also, some of the people on the call are going back for the second, third, or fourth time. There's going to be people that you know there. Definitely make an effort to connect with them in advance and keep those relationships going. You never know what someone that you met briefly in the bathroom last year may have experienced a great success in the past year that can help you or that you want to hear about. So I'm going to go over and share my screen so you can see the best resource for you is what I'm going to spend most of the time on is the websites of the conference, so the WEConnect International website and the WeBank website, because they're going to give you a lot of great information. So now that you've targeted your clients, you have an idea of who you want to see, you have your elevator pitch done, you want to think about the agenda. So the first thing that you're probably going to attend, and which I highly recommend attending if you can, is the WEConnect International Day. Now the reason for that is I've been talking about how big the conference is and how overwhelming. WEConnect International Day is going to be an opportunity to meet the corporate members that are there in a much more intimate environment. In fact, right now we have more representatives from our corporate members coming than we do WBEs, although that might have changed in the last week. Regardless, you're going to be looking at a much better ratio, and they'll have much more time to spend with you because there'll be fewer people at that day. Representatives from, and this is the WEConnect International website. You go to Women's Business Enterprises and WeConnect at WeBank. This is where all of this information is. It's going to be updated a fair amount, so you want to keep checking back here for who's going to be at International Day, what is the agenda. So the reason that I point you to this first is because you really want to check out, this is a good opportunity to check out who the sponsors are. You guys have already made your target list of who you want to target. If any of those targets are sponsoring these events, you want to be at the event that they're sponsoring. Maybe you weren't planning on getting up early for breakfast, but if ExxonMobil is sponsoring that breakfast, you want to be there. I can't tell you how much simple things really make a difference. Approaching a representative from ExxonMobil who gets up to speak and then just saying, oh, hey, thank you for sponsoring the breakfast. It's a really nice thing to do, you know, and something we would all do with our hosts, but something that will definitely make you stand out at the conference. So the first thing is, where are my potential customers going to be, and how do I get there? So for International Day, the sponsors are ExxonMobil, Dun & Bradstreet, Monsanto, and Walmart. Also, if you look at the agenda, you can see there's going to be a global panel with corporate members, so Michael Robinson from IBM, John Lavorato from Dell, Andy Butler from P&G, Darlene Fuller from Sodexo. If those are going to be, if any of those companies are on your target list, this is your opportunity to say, okay, I'm looking for Darlene when I get there. Again, you want to be open to meeting other people, but this is going to allow you to say, okay, I know the person who's going to be there. I can look up Darlene Fuller on LinkedIn before I go. I can Google her and find out, you know, more about what Sodexo is doing in terms of supplier diversity. I can go to the e-network and see what they're doing from a corporate perspective. Again, this is all going to help you prepare as you target. And it's also, again, why I recommend you can't do this with 100 companies. It'd be really hard to do it with 10. I would stick to 5, maybe 7. The other thing to keep in mind with WeConnect International Day is that we're going to have profiles and success. So the first one is Teach My and Walmart. I think Christy Cook is on the call. And Christy is going to give you an overview of how she did business with Walmart, why the certification was important, how it played a role. And so, again, you can listen to me tell you how to do it, but hearing from your fellow women business owners and the corporate members who are doing business with them is just going to be really valuable. If you're looking to do business with Walmart, you know that, okay, someone from Walmart's going to be there, but so is Christy. You want to talk to Christy about how she did that. If you have any questions for her, that's a good chance to get to know her. And she's on the call, so I hope she'll back me up on that. The other profiles and success, there's going to be one with Ernst & Young and a company called Macademy from Mexico. So if you're interested in those companies, you want to make sure you're there for that profile and success. And the third one, we're still working out who that's going to be with. So as you look at this, you know, okay, let's say maybe one of your targets is Pepsi, that you're really interested in doing business with Pepsi. You don't see them on this day. Well, what you want to do is then see, okay, let's see where Pepsi's going to be later on, and I'll go into how to do that. But who at this conference at International Day can actually help me meet the other people I want to meet? That's again why I would say that why 10 is too many, but you do want to have a fair number of people, even if they're a long shot, just so you can start to build those relationships now. A lot of you are taking a lot of time out of your company, you're traveling, and there's an expense to you. You really want to make the most of it. So if none of these companies are targets for you, you want to go back to the WEConnect International corporate member list, because even if they're not speaking, they're going to be present both at this day and at the reception that evening. So that is Monday. I'm going to bring down the chat window just so I can see if anyone has any questions. That's Monday. And once you've gone through Monday, that's going to set the tone for the rest of the week. So I'm going to move over. After Monday, WeBank is in charge of the agenda, and we're going to go over here to the schedule so you can see what's going to happen after that. So on Tuesday, the biggest things to keep in mind on Tuesday are the first-time attendee orientation. That's on Tuesday at 9 a.m. One thing to keep in mind about the workshops that WeBank is giving is they are going to be focused on a U.S. audience. It's a U.S. organization at a conference in the U.S. So that makes sense. So you just want, that's why we're doing these webinars in advance, so you have the WeConnect side of it. But they will tell you all about what to expect, and anything that changes. You know, all of you have been to events, most of you have probably planned events. You know that things could sometimes change at the last minute. At that first-time attendee orientation, you will get the most up-to-date information on if there are any room changes or schedule changes. So if you can go, I recommend going to that. It's also a chance to meet other US WBEs that are coming to the conference for the first time. So that's open to you. And then the next, assuming that you've registered for the entire WeBank conference, the next thing that's available is the Kickoff Luncheon and Keynote speaker, who is Carla Harris from the National Women's Business Council. So at the lunch, it's going to be a fairly big lunch with hundreds of people. It's a good opportunity if you met someone on Monday to say, hey, is it possible for me to sit with you at the lunch on Tuesday? You also want to see, right now they don't have who the sponsor, on this schedule at a glance, they don't have who the sponsors of these luncheons are. When you get there, you'll receive an agenda and I'll tell you who the sponsor is. The sponsors will have an opportunity to speak at that. So if one of your target corporations is speaking or sponsoring the lunch, you want to make sure that you're there, because you can probably approach them at some point, either preferably right directly after on the way to their workshops or what have you. If they're not sponsoring, then that's a good opportunity to say, hey, let's meet up before the lunch and plan to sit together at that lunch. After lunch on Tuesday, there's a workshop. The workshop sessions, again, a lot of these are going to be targeted at a U.S. audience, but some of them are going to be more global. So one, which is specifically global, is expanding your business globally through country-specific strategies. WeConnect International does have input into a lot of the global content, so I recommend that one. And then things that are going to be good for you to know, because presumably if you're coming to the conference, you're interested in selling into the U.S. market. So if you're in food and beverage in the retail industry, that's good to know what's going on in those industries from a U.S. perspective. What are U.S. women business owners hearing, and how can you fit in? In terms of expanding your government business, that's going to be mostly geared towards the U.S. audience doing business with the U.S. government. While it's possible, I know that some of you might be doing business with the U.S. government right now or U.S. government entities. For the most part, the people at this conference, to take advantage of the government programs available for women-owned businesses, you have to be a U.S. citizen to do that. So I would say those are probably, unless you absolutely know that that it's going to work out for you, I would say expanding the government business is probably not the best for this audience. And I would stick to the industry-specific ones and the global ones. Again, leveraging your certification to accelerate business development. That's going to be good. It's going to be very U.S. focused. So they're going to talk about what a WeBank certified company can do. They're going to talk about WeBank Link. The WeConnect equivalent is the e-network. So while you might have to do a little translation, but there might be some valuable tips there as well. So those are the workshop sessions, and then at the end of the day is the welcome reception and silent auction. So this is going to be a giant room. Even if you know someone's going to the reception, if you're planning to meet up with people there, I would set a very specific time and place because there's going to be a lot of people there. And it's, I've spent my time there just trying to find other people to make connections with. Sometimes the stars align, and I guarantee it's a really weird thing. You'll end up seeing the same people over and over again, and some people you'll never see. But it's a good opportunity. It's kind of an open time. Definitely bid on items if you think you want to donate to WeBank and then also win a fabulous trip or prize at the silent auction. But for the most part, use that time. Again, if you met someone on Monday and you want a more in-depth conversation, if you think they're going to the reception, you can meet them, set a specific time and say, hey, let's walk over to the reception together, or schedule a time to meet them at the end of it. So Wednesday, June 24th, this is the big day. This is really what, especially for the international folks, what you've been waiting for. This is the business fair. So the corporations are going to have, hundreds of corporations are going to have exhibit booths, and you will have an opportunity to approach them and tell them about your business, give them the elevator pitch you've meticulously crafted, and follow up. So we talked about this a little bit on the second webinar, but I want to go over it again, which is the floor plan. This is a really good resource for you. It's very simple. It's on the WeBank website. Oh, and the schedule at a glance is also on the WeBank website. Let me just show you the web address for all of this is conf, C-O-N-F, .webank, W-B-E-N-C.org, and then just go to the schedule and then schedule at a glance, and that will take you to what I'm going over. Then the floor plan is just over here at Exhibitors and Floor Plan. So when you click on the floor plan, it's going to take you to the layout of the conference. So I show you this to give you a sense of the scope, and also so you can plan who you want to go meet with and when. So for example, when you come over to 521, you can also zoom in here. Zoom so you can see. This is a little different than it was last week, but they're making it better every day, which is great. So when you scroll over, I told you WeConnect was 521. You scroll over, you can see WeConnect International. If you want find a booth by name, you can also do it that way. So at this point, you've already targeted your companies. You want to go see, okay, who's going to be there, and who do I want who do I want to approach? So let's say, what did we talk about? Let's say you want to go, okay, you want to come say hi to WEConnect, and then you want to go to ExxonMobil's booth. Well, that makes a lot of sense because WEConnect is right here at 521. ExxonMobil is right here at 714. So that makes a good little jaunt. It's also possible, and I say this as someone who's not going to be there, I'm throwing my colleagues over to you, but if you go over to the WEConnect International booth, you don't really know anyone at ExxonMobil, it's possible that they're able to make a connection or an introduction for you. Can you just come over and introduce me to Natalie? I remember her talking at the WEConnect International Day, but I can't really remember which one she is. Can you remind me? That's what WEConnect International is really there for, and we can help you with that. But the more, again, the more you do in advance, the better off you're going to be because you're like, oh, actually, Exxon isn't really the best target for me, but who I want to meet with is Shell, so let's find out where they are. Let's see if all the oil and gas are in the same spot. No, see, Shell is going to be all the way over here. So if you want to do all the oil and gas industry, you just want to plan that out. And I said it before, I think it's worth saying again, it is going to be tiring. This is a big room. And so you want to spend your time wisely, wear comfortable shoes, and give yourself breaks as you need them. So you're fresh at the end of the day. But I think this is really, and you can also search by booth number and booth size, although I don't think anyone here would need to do that. Exhibitor name is probably the best way to do it. And I think this is a really good resource for you, and you can, I think you can print this out and take it with you. Oh, this is where, okay, and here you can view, instead of numbers, you can actually view the exhibitor names. So if you want to get a look at, okay, I definitely want to look at Target, I want to approach them, and who's around Target that might also be good. You can do it that way, just by clicking on View Exhibitor Names. So that's Wednesday. We've gone through Tuesday, Wednesday, the business fair. That evening, on Wednesday evening, there's going to be an evening reception. Again, that's another good place to say, hey, want to meet up this evening? Be prepared. Okay, I see that the chat screen is bothersome. So I'm going to close the chat screen now. I'm just going to open it periodically just to see if anyone has any questions. So on Wednesday, there's an evening reception. Keep in mind, most people are going to be pretty exhausted. That's going to be a big day of a lot of talking. You're going to have given your elevator pitch several times, both to the people you were targeting and to random people that you met throughout the day. It is a good chance, I would say that evening is a good chance to sort of regroup and relax with your team to determine, okay, who met who, who's following up with what do we want to accomplish tomorrow, and if there's someone that you need to have an in-depth conversation with, that's a really good time. That's a good time to do it. Most people will be staying through Thursday, so let's move into Thursday. And Thursday is going, after Thursday, a lot of people will be leaving. So if you have someone that you definitely wanted to meet Wednesday, if you don't meet them on Monday at International Day, Wednesday is the day to do it because Thursday people will be starting to get ready to go, or at least their schedules will have filled up and they won't be as fresh as at the beginning of the week. Going on Thursday are one-to-one matchmaker meetings. This year, those are not available to anyone but WeBank certified WBEs. Since it's their conference, it's their prerogative to do that. But keep in mind that also may take some of the people that you wanted to meet. They might be in matchmaking meetings that day. So you just want to be aware of the scheduling. And, if they say on Wednesday, oh, I can't meet with you Thursday because I have matchmaking meetings, do your best to follow up with them either Wednesday night or ask them how you can follow up when you go home. There's more workshops on Thursday. The Exploring Global Business Growth, which is at 11:15. That's the one I really recommend for international folks. And a lot of these are more, well, the ones earlier are more about your target markets. Some of these are more about sales and social media, working on your business. How do you develop strategies for that? If any of the topic areas are of interest, they're all open to everybody, and I would just, pick out the ones, that have, when you get your agenda, when you get there, there will be speakers listed, so pick out the ones that have speakers that are good potentials for you or that have a topic you're interested in. And then on Thursday, there's another lunch. It's another good opportunity to meet up with people. Again, the lunch is going to be huge. It's going to be hard to find people there unless they're sponsors, in which case they'll be up at the front. If they're not sponsors, you want to say, hey, let's meet up at 12:30 and walk over to lunch together. And then finally, there's a dinner, a tribute dinner and award ceremony, and a lunch party from 9 to 11. So again, there's a lot of, and a reception before all of that. So there's opportunities to meet people then. Again, people might be leaving by then, so you just want to have planned your time so all of your must-meet targets, that you pretty much get them out of the way on Wednesday. So Thursday you can spend time doing the workshops, following up, debriefing with your team, and any additional follow-up that comes up during the show. So that's the week. There's a lot, there's still a lot to know. For example, the workshop sessions, they do have descriptions of the workshops here, so you can look a little bit more about the descriptions. They still don't have the speakers, although they'll have those later on. So this is the best way to figure out, okay, these are the workshops I definitely want to go to. Again, it might change if there's a great speaker at one that you didn't choose. So the last thing I want to show you as a resource, and then I'll leave some time for the chat, is the WeBank President's Report. So I'm going to show you how to get here from the WeBank website. I haven't shown this before. Oh, I didn't use enough W's. I didn't show this before because it just came out today. But if you go to the WeBank website, which is webank.org, to News and Events and President's Report, this is essentially their newsletter. And the most recent President's Report will come up here, and you can read it. And the reason I want to show it to you is because this one is the one that's coming out right before the conference. And there's a little bit on fitness, but for the most part, the conference, this issue is dedicated to preparing for the WeBank conference. So I'm starting at the back. But this is a whole Q&A about why it's important to attend these kind of events. And the answers are not from the people from WeBank or me, but from other women business owners like you. This is what they got out of going to the conference. This gives you a sense of the kind of business owners that will attend the conference as well. In fact, I know many of these women. I know Heather and Margaret and Carrie McNally and Brenda. They've been coming to conferences for years. It can also give you a good idea, okay, these are some of the types of women business owners that I want to meet. They have a business that is in my industry or that is complementary to my industry, or they're doing business with clients that I want to do business with. Skipping back here, this gives you a lot more information about WeBank and how WeBank operates. And here we have, on page 28, 29, workshop highlights. So here are the descriptions of the workshops. And then also the speakers. So I mentioned Carla Harris, the Thursday speaker, Jonathan Sprinkles. Getting to know a little bit more about them. One thing I like to do, and I'll talk about this in a social media workshop I'm giving, or webinar I'm giving on the 19th, it's a good idea to sort of start following The speakers, if you plan to tweet at the conference, you can start following the speakers now. So you already have them ready to go if you want to tweet at them while you're there, or tweet out some of their great words of wisdom while you're there. And it gives you an idea of what you're in for on Tuesday and Thursday. You can familiarize yourself with the speakers so you know, oh, I'm really interested to hear this piece of it. Again, it seems like you're doing a lot of homework, but that's really you're coming a long way. So the more you can prepare, the better shape you're going to be in. Here in this President's Report, there's also the host committee profiles. These are people whose businesses are located in the area of Austin, or they've just decided to sponsor the conference this year. So these are business owners like you who are sponsoring the conference and have other words of wisdom like network, network, network. Pamela O'Rourke says to enjoy Austin. So these are just some ways that you can get to know some of the other really heavy hitter women business owners that are going to be there. So when you see them on stage or you run into them, you have a little background on them, and again, it just helps you be prepared. Here are some best things to do in Austin. You can go through, definitely you might want to take some downtime. If the thought of meeting 100 people is breaking you out into a cold sweat right now, you want to think about, okay, maybe I'm going to skip the speaker on Tuesday, and I'm going to go, do some relaxing, I'm going to do some shopping. I'll go to the LBJ Presidential Library, what have you. You want to make sure that you build in that downtime if you think you're going to need it, and don't wear yourself out too early. And then there's just, and all of that starts on page 24 of the WeBank President's Report. So I recommend, if you've done everything I've told you to do up to this point, you're ready to go, there's no more to do, definitely check that out because there's great information in there. So we have about 10 minutes left, a little less than 10 minutes left. And so I want to, if you guys have any questions, definitely ask me now, but I want to spend the next time on the steps you're taking in the next month and the follow-up. So just to wrap up, I know since you've already taken my other webinars, you've already honed your list of potential targets, you've got your elevator pitch targeted for them, and you're ready to go with that. You have the women-owned logo on your materials, if you plan to do that, and you have your business cards, lots and lots of business cards ready to go. So those are the steps to take in the next month. Assuming you've done all of that, I think it's a good idea to go through the agendas that I showed you, schedule your day, leaving some open times in there. And what you also want to do is look at your calendar and block out some time to actually do the follow-up from this conference. So we spend a lot of time, in advance getting prepared. We spend a lot of time and energy at the conference itself, meeting people and building connections. And the most crucial thing to do, I think, is what tends to get away from us when we get back to our offices, and that is the follow-up. There's some easy steps for follow-up that you can take. One is, as I mentioned before, just really listening when you're giving your pitch at your initial contact. That will help you. One, you can take notes. So when you go back to your hotel room that evening, you can say, okay, these are my priorities for the next day. These can wait until we get back to the office. You want to start prioritizing right away. These are my really good potentials. I feel really strongly about them. They're in my first category. The second ones are, these are maybes. I need a little more information before I can qualify them as great potentials, but I do want to follow up. I probably don't want to spend my time here meeting, having more in-depth conversation. I think we've gotten as far as we can get here. I'm going to follow up when I get home. And then the third group is, well, I want to stay in touch with them, but there's no immediate opportunities right now. The more you can, and you don't have to do all this while you're at the conference, it's a lot to do, but I would just, if you know, I would make sure you have a system for that. That's my system. My system is to take everybody's cards, make a note on their card about what we talked about, and when I get back to the hotel room that evening, I'm like, okay, these are people I want to follow up with right away. You know, I connect into the hotel Wi-Fi and make a meeting, see if I can meet with them at some point while we're at the conference and all together. I make a list of, okay, these are people that need information from me, but I have to wait till I get back to the office to do that, or, you know, it can wait till I get back to the office. And then the third group are people like, I'll do that when I get back to the office, you know, just ping them to say it was nice to meet them and stay in touch, build relationships, because you never know, but they're not going to be your key targets. So all of that is going to be easier, and it's going to sound less like homework when you've really listened to the people that you meet and have been able to determine right away, okay, yes, these people I can provide solutions to, these people not so much. And when you are scheduling your time at the conference, again, put time on your calendar for when you're actually going to do this follow-up. You're going to get back to the office, you're going to have been gone, so there's going to be a lot of different fires to put out. Just set aside a block of time that you're going to go through these business cards, follow up with the people you need to follow up with. Again, what you're looking for here is things that are going to distinguish you from the pack, and following up and determining what is the best type of follow-up from the potential corporate member is really going to distinguish you from the group. Now, I say that, and listening and follow-up really go hand in hand. If they say, you know, this is great, we actually have, you know, I understand your business, I understand your pitch, we have an opportunity for what you sell coming up in the next couple weeks, follow up with me in 2 weeks, then you want to follow up with them in 2 weeks. If they say, we don't really have anything, we signed a contract with someone that provides your same product or service, and it's a 3-year contract, we don't have anything right now, then you can ask them, when would be an appropriate time to follow up just to get back in touch? If they're like, I'll be available in 6 months, well then again, that's something you want to put on your calendar. Follow up in 6 months. Showing that you're listening to them and approaching them the way they want to be approached is going to be a very good way to distinguish your company and show that you listened. If they say, we don't have anything available for you, or, you know, I will be in touch, then this is one of the few times I think you'll probably hear it's okay to take no for an answer. And the reason I say that is because there's so much potential at this conference. You don't want to spin your wheels with a company that probably doesn't have an opportunity for you when there might be 5 other ones that do. So if someone says, we just signed a contract for that, no, we don't really buy that, oh, we buy that through someone else and they already have a diverse supplier that covers it, that's great. I would still ask if it's, you know, if there's potential for follow-up. If there's someone that's already providing your product or service, you can ask if there's a potential for you to supply to them or provide any products or services to that supplier as a tier 2 supplier. But for the most part, it's okay to say, all right, I will take that as a not right now, and then you can go into my priority list as a 2 or 3, and I'll find out how to follow up with you. You want to manage your time by spending the most time with the people that are going to be great potentials. And I recognize that some of those people might not even make it onto your list in advance. But if they do, when you meet up with them and you have a targeted elevator pitch and you're ready to go, you'll be in a good position when you do meet them. So that is all the information I have. I'm going to give you all a few minutes to see if you have any questions. If anyone has any questions, you can put it in the chat window. I know a couple people have done that before. While you're thinking about your questions, I just want to remind you, so we've recorded this webinar, and I'm going to make it available to everyone who registered later today. You can always contact me with questions. It's lwhitehead@WEConnectinternational.org. And definitely look for the WeConnect International booth when you get there. First of all, you're going to see WeConnect International a lot on WeConnect International Day, but everybody there is willing to help you. This is what they're there for, to help make these connections for companies like you. So if there's not any questions right now, thank you for joining. Next week's webinar is going to be a repeat of this information. So if you've been, you're welcome to attend, but there's no need to. And the next webinar will be only for people who have registered for the conference. So I'll be going through their registration list to make sure. And we'll just be talking about any questions you have, anything that's come up since preparing, as you've been preparing for the conference. It's going to be a much looser agenda. So in the meantime, have fun preparing, contact me with questions, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much.